This is my TNA Against All Odds 2009 pay-per-view predictions, and I gotta say, as far as this way this card is looking right now, and pretty much it's already finalized as far as, unless they maybe add one match to it, which I highly doubt they will. It's not looking like this is going to be a stellar pay-per-view. This is probably going to really shock me if anyone actually goes out their way to buy this. As far as when the TNA buy rates come out at the end of the year or early next year, it's really going to shock me if this pay-per-view does more than 5,000 buys. But you got to expect there are a lot of diehard TNA fans might go out their way to order this, but I highly doubt that because there's not really anything on this pay-per-view that's really interests me to say it's going to be very good. The only thing on here I would say might be good is probably going to be the TNA Tag Team title match. But before I get into my predictions, I just want to recommend one hip-hop CD, and that's X-Clan Mainstream Outlaws right here. Definitely an excellent CD. I would recommend it to any hip-hop fan. And if you can't find it at your local Best Buy FYE, I'll put the link in the description on the side to undergroundhiphop.com, where you can check it out on there and get a couple, little snippets of the album where you can kind of preview and see if you like what you hear. And definitely I would recommend it. First album of 2009 in the hip-hop industry that I would definitely recommend to any fan, and especially old school hip-hop fans, they'll definitely really appreciate the album. Now, as far as, let me get into my TNA Against All Odds pay-per-view predictions. The opening match will most likely be the X Division title match with defending X Division champion Shelley versus Eric Young. This kind of really just a thrown together match. It was really just announced, I guess, on Impact, or just added to the pay-per-view just the last day or so. And not that it's probably not going to be a terrible match. Shelley is a great in-ring performer. Eric Young is a guy that I really never have been a fan of him, but if you give this maybe 10-15 minutes, these two might be able to go out there and perform an okay match. Shelley will most likely retain the X Division title here. And then you got the next match, which is Booker T versus Sewell. And this is a match that's probably just going to be a complete dud. It's just going to be completely terrible. No one's looking forward to it at all. Make it as short as possible. Booker T will win the match and defeat Sewell. And just stop this whole thing with this referee. Now, if you want to actually make him a wrestler, I don't really have a problem with that, but he looks just fucking stupid as hell coming out there in a referee shirt that has TNA on it. It has his name on the back, I guess, and then, just regular sweatpants. It looks terrible for a wrestler. If you want to actually venture him off and stop from him being a referee and just mention that he was a referee and actually have him go out there and actually wrestling gear, he would look more, official, and actually maybe get over a little more and not look like a fucking idiot. And Booker T, like I said, will win this match. Then you got the Abyss versus Matt Morgan match, which this is a match I was not looking forward to at all, but I gotta say, from the very little of Impact that I actually saw last night, and anyone that hasn't seen it, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It is on TNA Wrestling's YouTube channel, which is the promo that Abyss did, and pretty much, last night on Impact, they are pretty much returning to the old Abyss, the monster Abyss, which is definitely a good thing. And as far as, his promo is just, an intense promo. He put, glass and thumbtacks out onto the ring and started just punching the hell out of it, and had thumbtacks and glass all over his hand. He was bleeding profusely from his hand, and definitely, a great way to return to the old school Abyss, the monster Abyss, which if you want to do this in a good fashion, Abyss does have to win this match, which I do see Abyss winning this match and beating Matt Morgan, and might be at least a watchable match. It might be at least a little entertaining. Expect, even though it's not a stipulation match, expect, like any Abyss match, expect some, weaponry get involved, maybe some thumbtacks, maybe a ref bump, and Abyss uses the weaponry then, and expect something like that, even though it's not announced as, a no DQ match, which is kind of stupid when wrestling promotions do that. Hate it when Ring of Honor does it with Necro Butcher. They're starting to not do it as much as they once did, but pretty much, guys like Necro Butcher and Abyss, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to see some weaponry involved in every match with, thumbtacks or something like that, chairs or anything get involved in the match. Like I said, Abyss will win the match. Then you got the open challenge from TNA's newest wrestler, Brutus Magnus. And I saw the little clip from him on Impact last night. Can't really say much from him, but what I did see from him, it seems like he's not going to be that good. It seems like he might be a step up from Matt Morgan because he actually could somewhat do something on the mic. And possibly, he'd be a little step up from Matt Morgan, but that's not really saying much. And if you look at this pay-per-view card, you notice that there's no AJ Styles on here, so I could possibly see AJ Styles accepting the challenge and actually defeating Brutus Magnus in this match, because this will actually be, if AJ Styles isn't on this pay-per-view at all in some fashion in interference or actually in a match, this will be the first TNA pay-per-view AJ Styles hasn't been involved in ever, as far as the 3-hour pay-per-views. He probably, I don't even know if he missed that many of the TNA weekly pay-per-views. He might have not really missed any of them either, and pretty much has been involved in Impact pretty much, unless, they did something with a beatdown. So, AJ Styles has been one of those performers that's been on every TNA pay-per-view, especially all the 3-hour pay-per-views, and this be the Shriek will end here if he's not on this pay-per-view, and I see AJ Styles winning this if he does come out here. And I expect whoever comes out here, which the only people that I could see possibly 3 people accepting this challenge, unless TNA's debuting someone else. But the 3 people I could see possibly accepting it is AJ Styles, which that's the person I see accepting it. Possibly a returning Christopher Daniels, he might be able to accept it. But I think, you're going to have to do something to explain him coming back, and I don't think this would be the best fashion for him to return in. I think better fashion for him to return is something involving, a run-in, coming out there, helping the TNA frontline, and then having him return in that fashion and not this type of fashion. Then, possibly the only person I could see actually accepting this challenge and actually Brutus Magnus actually winning the match is possibly Rhino. I could possibly see Rhino coming out here and accepting it. Those are the only 3, but like I said, I see AJ Styles accepting it and winning the challenge from Brutus Magnus. Possibly could be at least a decent match, because AJ Styles is one of those performers that can go out there and perform with pretty much anyone and make it at least a pretty watchable match. Then you got the pretty much former allies. You got the Big Poppa Pump Scott Steiner versus Maple Leaf Muscle Petey Williams, and unfortunately in this, I think, the smart thing to do is actually have Petey Williams go over, but for some reason or another, I see actually TNA going the route of having Petey Williams lose this match and having Scott Steiner win this and possibly turn it into somewhat of a feud for Scott Steiner to do. Hopefully it doesn't last long. I think the better thing to do is, like I said, have Petey Williams win this match, but I can't really see that happening. For some reason or another, I think TNA will do something stupid and have Scott Steiner win this match. Then you got the TNA tag team title match with Beer Money Incorporated of James Storm and Robert Roode versus Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed. And like I said earlier, this is actually one of the matches on this pay-per-view. This and possibly the X Division title match. I don't have that many high hopes for the X Division title match. It might deliver, might not. But I do expect this TNA tag team title match with Beer Money Incorporated versus Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed to actually deliver and actually it be a pretty good, solid tag team match. Probably the only match on here I could expect being very good. And Beer Money Incorporated, I expect to retain the TNA tag team titles. It's really stupid when they gave the TNA tag team titles to Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed for that, I guess, 1 week, then have Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed lose it back to Beer Money. They shouldn't have even went the route of having Beer Money lose the titles. And if they would do that, it would be better if they would have done it on pay-per-view and actually give them a lengthy title run instead of, doing just a weak title run. I hate when they do that, when they give, a wrestler, just a weak title run, have them have it for a week or two, and, not do anything with it. It's like very pointless title run. Then you got the TNA Knockouts title match with Amazing Kong versus ODB. And actually in this match, I could see ODB winning the TNA Knockouts title for several reasons. I think it would be the smart thing to do. ODB is very over with the fans, so even though I'm not a fan of ODB, and a lot of people know I do not like her at all, I at least say for business-wise, she's very over with the crowd, no matter, if it's in the Impact Zone or it's on the road. She's one of the very few TNA knockouts that's very over with the fans, just like Amazing Kong. And I see ODB winning the TNA Knockouts title here. Another reason why I see it happen is Amazing Kong is pretty banged up in this match, so expect this not to be that long of a match. It'll be a way to get the TNA Knockouts title off of Amazing Kong and give it to ODB, and possibly, her have maybe a 3-4 month title run. But they need to do something to rejuvenate the TNA Knockouts division, because it hasn't been much of anything probably since, ever since Gal Kim left. It probably hasn't been much at all. Then you got the TNA World Title match with the Fatal 4-Way, 4 corners match for the TNA title with defending champion Sting versus Kurt Angle versus Team 3D, Brother Ray and Brother Devon. And this main event looks very, very weak. And this is one of the problems I really have with TNA's recent last couple pay-per-views, where their main event has been very, very weak. And I always say that, if you have a weak main event and if your opener doesn't deliver, it doesn't matter what you really do in between that. That really affects how the pay-per-view is, and really hurts the pay-per-view overall if you don't have a good opener, if you have a very weak main event. And this is really going to shock me if it's a good main event. You got, Sting in there, you got Kurt Angle. They possibly could maybe do something to make it a good match, but having Team 3D in there is just fucking stupid as hell. This would have worked out better and would have been a great main event if they would have had, if they wanted to go the route of having 2 guys from the front line and 2 guys from the main event Mafia in the match. It'd be much better if they had, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe versus Sting versus AJ Styles, and maybe even have, Joe or AJ Styles win the title in a 4-way, which, will, finally give the front line some type of, something to really bank off of and do something with. And at the same time, it's not going to really hurt the main event Mafia, and they can look very strong as well. But in this match, looks very weak. The only person that could win the title in here that could possibly defeat Sting is Kurt Angle. I don't see them going that route. I see Sting retain the TNA World Heavyweight title. Obviously, I think the best route for him when he loses the title, have him lose it to AJ Styles. I think that would be the best way to do it with it. It looks like they were probably going that route, but kind of, threw Team 3D in here for no reason or another. And it's going to probably be a very weak main event. Like I said, Sting is going to retain. The only title on this pay-per-view I can see changing hands is the TNA Knockouts title, with ODB winning. Be the smart thing to do. She's very over with the crowd. Not only that, Amazing Kong is pretty banged up from injuries, so it'd be the best way for her to get the title off of her and put it on someone else. And put it on ODB. I think that would be a smart thing to do. And like I said, it's pretty much going to be, looks like it's going to be a pretty weak pay-per-view. Hopefully it delivers. I can't really see if it does. Maybe TNA could do something, maybe throw something out here, really throw a curveball and make this pay-per-view be better than what it actually looks like on card. Because as far as it looks like on card, this looks like it possibly could be one of TNA's worst pay-per-views, and that's even saying much from after seeing, Turning Point and then seeing Final Resolution. It actually looks worse than those two on card, which I didn't think that was even possible. But this pay-per-view doesn't look like it's to be that good. Like I said, the only matches that I'm looking forward to are the TNA Tag Team title match with Beer Money versus Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed, and then the X Division title match with Eric Young and Alex Shelley could possibly be a okay match, possibly could be better than what I'm expecting. My hopes for this pay-per-view are very low, so that might help the pay-per-view out since my expectations aren't that high. Hopefully TNA delivers here, but like I said, I highly doubt it with this card here. It looks like it's going to be a very, very terrible pay-per-view, and that's my TNA Against All Odds 2009 pay-per-view predictions. Peace.